Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Strength Through Stress, brought to you by Top Virtual Staffing Solutions, where we grow, learn, and innovate. That's why we're providing these free sessions, specifically. So if you guys could follow us on social media, we would appreciate that. And if you have questions with anything that we do, feel free to go ahead and contact us here. All right. So this is session 20, supposedly. I missed to update this specific. This is the last session that we will be discussing regarding religion, spirituality, in relation to strength through stress. Apologies that I missed to go ahead and update this. But for today, we're going to go ahead and pretty much summarize all of the other aspects that we have discussed and also discuss Einstein's perspective on spirituality. All right. Okay, so pretty much standard things that we have discussed from previously, so we'll go ahead and skip through them. And for today, we want to go ahead and discuss why free. It's September 11 right now as we go ahead and record this. And in honor for the first responders from 9/11, and not only from that perspective, but for any emergency that we go through, I want to show our appreciation to each and every one of them, 9/11 or not. And then right now, currently we have all of these fires that's going on in California and Oregon, and we have these first responders helping out to go ahead and contain such problems. So we just want to highlight all the first responders out there. See how you can go ahead and support them. Write the thank you note, or just say thank you when you go ahead and see any of them. And there. All right. So speaking of 9/11, we just want to share, if you want to go ahead and support all of our initiative here. This is our GoFundMe page. And speaking of 9/11, so as you guys know, things change the way we travel. And with COVID-19, we just want to go ahead and share. We also have free virtual town hall sessions here, wherein we have experts in their respective fields to discuss all the changes, if you may, in this regard. Right. So, Miko, do you have any questions?
No.
Anything that you want to discuss before we proceed?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So, as a review, this is what we discussed from their perspectives of Jesus of Nazareth, Campbell, and Lao Tzu. And so on this specific journal, Passion and Action and Service to Others, what can you go ahead and say or relate to yourself in this journal?
I have service to others. When my classmate did not have the link to go to the tab we were supposed to go to in school, I chatted in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
So this person could go and see what we were doing on the website.
Okay, so you helped out, and that's what it is. You're serving others, especially when they need help, and if it's something you can help with, why not, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and service to the environment. Okay. How about willpower?
My willpower is to really clean up outside and inside. So just like the plastic challenge that we are doing.
Okay.
I tried to limit my plastic. So.
Plastic use?
Yes, plastic use. And as usual, we pick up the plastic.
Okay.
Plastic
so,
outside.
So that's your willpower and compassion to the environment. But
Yes.
how are you going to relate the willpower that it's a muscle, that it's something that we work with, and how do you recharge yourself or feel refreshed?
Well, what I do really is think about what it would be if this place was just trashed with plastic.
Okay.
I mean, that's a negative thing, but maybe the only thought that can charge me up and start doing it.
So you feel drained if you have all of these plastic all around.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in order to be recharged, that's why we take care of the environment.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So for growth mindset, effort equals results, and afraid of trying. So is there anything that you're afraid of trying or discussing effort that hopefully will produce results, whatever they are?
I really put an effort in my writing, and maybe sometimes when I grow older, I might publish a book or something. Write about something that has happened to me. Do you call it personal narrative? Sorry. So I'll write a personal narrative, or I'll write a fantasy.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And that's what we're doing in school as well. We're telling fairy tales from a different perspective, a different person's perspective in the fairy tale. Sorry.
A different character.
Yes.
Okay. Good. And that's important, so we can go ahead, and that's where compassion will go ahead and come in, is that you're able to view things from another person's perspective, and how would they think, how they would feel, and how they would behave if they're the ones telling the story, right?
Yes.
All right, good. And yeah, so that's great, and I'm glad that you have that view that you will be person that would be writing books. Why not? Okay.
Sure, because yeah.
Okay. All right. So critical thinking. Anything that you want to use or apply here or relate to in relation to what we have discussed from the theories last time?
Well, it's kind of just the same as giving the link, empathy and intellectual traits. So, yeah, that would probably be my empathy. But if you want another reason,
okay,
I really want to help when I can, because we're in a very hard world, you know?
Okay.
And we need to do our best to take care of it and take care of ourselves.
And that's where empathy will go ahead and come in, of
yes.
wanting to help.
I'm not sure if I have really anything specific, but that's what I want to do.
Okay. Well, those are things that you've discussed, of taking care of the environment, of picking up whatever plastic you can go and pick up, and so on and so forth, right? Okay. And then helping.
And maybe
yeah.
Also reusing some cardboard as well.
Yes.
So we can use it for boxes for the recycle.
Yes. Whatever we can reuse. Yes. Anything to that effect. That's good. All right. How about higher order thinking, scientific thinking, and metacognition? So is there anything from the discussion last week that you want to relate to any of these?
I'm not sure if it's okay, but is it fine that I it's not super intertwined with the discussion last week.
Okay, go ahead. Share your thoughts.
So I was thinking in programming that I would make a platformer, a platformer where you control with your arrow keys. But I had the idea because there are tutorials for making a rain effect in Scratch and also a platformer tutorial. So I wanted to apply my creativeness to mix them together so it can be a platformer and its background is that it's raining.
Okay.
So I guess how it relates to that is because my hard work to do it, because I'm already started on it now. My work to do it, I'm not sure, but I think that would kind of be with compassion and action. With Jesus of Nazareth.
Well, I mean, if we could use one of the words here is you're creating something, right? You're learning something, you're analyzing how you can improve your program, correct?
Yes.
So that's just going to be part of it. And the bottom line is that if you continue to go ahead and improve and get better, that hopefully that's something that you can share and relate to other people of continuous improvement. So from a spiritual perspective is that you are honoring yourself, you're honoring your gifts, your talents that you have, and you're harnessing them by doing such projects. What do you think? You think that makes sense to you?
Sorry.
So hopefully this won't happen again, right? Because I think this already happened last time.
Yes, I'm sorry. My plug, it wasn't actually connected to the white extension. It was not connected to the white extension, and I did not know that because I have a lot of plugs on that extension already, so I had to take one off.
So with everything that you have shared, is that the legitimate reason for why you had to wait again?
No, it's because I wasn't being responsible.
Okay. And this won't happen again because I know this happened last week, correct?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and identify what problem do you have. This is a problem of plugging in your computer. So go ahead and find solutions that this won't happen again. What's your solution?
I need to think.
Okay, what else?
I need to think. Hang on. Well, I mean, I could put a reminder in my workspace.
Okay. So you have these reminders. So are you going to do it at 5 o'clock or before that?
4.
All right. So this won't happen again, correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's go and move on with Albert Einstein. What is this equation again?
E equals question mark.
Yeah, I know, but what's his famous equation?
Squared?
Have you?
I'm not sure.
Oh, really? You're not aware of this famous equation?
No.
Really? I thought you knew that already.
No.
E equals mc squared.
Oh, MC squared. I knew I had to do something with squared, so.
Okay. All right. To simplify something very complex idea or equation is that his theory of relativity is that energy is not created nor destroyed. And you go ahead and identify what's that got to do with spirituality. And in that regard, and with spirituality is that, think about this, we have energy right now, we're alive. And then once we move on from this life, where does this energy go? So if nothing is created nor destroyed, this energy has to go somewhere. So, and it's interesting that in his last few years of his life, speaking of existence, maybe he could be existence aside from energy. Is that he was trying to formulate the theory of God, the theory of a higher being. He didn't get to finish it or successfully formulate his thoughts, but that's what it is from a spiritual point of view, from a physics, from somebody who's a scientific mind, specifically in physics. And from his perspective is that there's such a thing as a non-local mind. It's a little bit related to some of the things that we have discussed before, that our consciousness is outside the human energy field. And that's why we have premonitions, that's why we pray, and even aspect of distant healing. So these are theories or perspectives on how that's impacting us. So if we have this mind, we have this energy right now. Where does it go when we're not alive anymore? Okay, so that's Einstein.
Oh. Could you go back? Sorry, real quick. Thank you.
They have questions here. And again, you're not typing word per word, right?
No.
Okay, all right. Let's go proceed. So we have discussed so many theories in spirituality. We had 4 series of this in the chapter of spirituality and how it relates to us as human beings and relates to us in working with stress. But these are the common themes, if you may. And the perspective here is, again, you're applying it to the 4 seasons of a year. So if we begin with autumn, which is where we're headed right now, is that we continuously search our own perspectives of what religion is, what faith is, what spirituality is. And that's where we try to really center how spirituality is impacting us as a human being, as where we are in our respective aspects of life. So that's centering. We move on to the next season. As we center, we go ahead and empty. We take out thoughts, attitudes, perceptions, beliefs. That's just not beneficial for us. Then maybe we can also add behavior, whatever behavior we can go ahead and change. So we empty, we remove from ourselves that is not helpful, whatever they are. So that's another aspect of the spirituality. We call that emptying. And then after winter, we move on to spring. And with spring, you become grounded. So as you empty things, hopefully you gain new insights. And with these insights, hopefully they're more beneficial for you, they're more helpful for you. And with these new insights, you incorporate them in your life, in your value system, and how you go through your day-to-day existence. So that's another perspective of all of these spiritualities. That's why you continuously learn. That's why you continuously go through these religious events. So hopefully you can gain or regain new insights to help you, to guide you with what you're doing. And then we'll move on to summer. And this is where we go ahead and connect ourselves. Connect ourselves to other people. All right. And as well as environment. And all of these is, the center component is love. And we love others, we love the environment, we love ourselves. And that's what it is, as a way to connect. And not just focusing on oneself. Does that make sense regarding common bonds of human spirituality?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Spirituality and working with stress. That's what it is. And again, with all the theories that we have discussed, it's not a matter of one perspective is better than the other. That's not the whole point of this. But let's learn from each and every one of them. So the last one is connection. And that's what it is. What you go ahead and identify and resolve your own internal and external relationships. So here we have in terms of continuously loving yourself. Loving yourself that you're taking care of yourself. That's what it is. It's not a matter of being self-centered, but for you to continuously improve. So relating into what you have shared earlier with platformers and adding into it and what you can do with them is you are improving yourself. And that's your relationship to yourself. That you're not just sitting idly and wasting yourself away. That's what you're trying to do. And then with others, that's what it is that you've mentioned. And again, the perspective here is that we pick up whatever plastic we can pick up because it goes into the environment and other animals eventually consume them and they perish, or we end up consuming what we are eating. So that's what it is as well. And we understand it's these problems are way bigger than what we can. But whatever we can do, why not? All right, spirituality and working with stress. So insightful internal relationships. You know yourself, you love yourself, you reach for a higher self that you continuously improve. And by you committing to these sessions that we're doing, hopefully this is helping you reach your higher version of yourself. Just like the platformers or programming that you're doing. It's a continuous improvement. And the same thing with you. We all are work in progress, work in progress. That hopefully we're progressing to be better, to get better. So that's insightful, internal relationships. The other one is external relationships. The quality of relationship with close individuals, with your immediate family, with your immediate loved ones, and to the communities, your neighborhood. But it's not only that, but that's why I have a globe here, the global community that we live in. And so one of the documentary series we were watching is, the title is Connected. That's what it is. We're all connected in one shape or form. So it's not only from a geographic perspective. And that's the reason why we have these, especially when, as we are in this middle of pandemic, we have to go ahead and physically isolate, but we need to go ahead and find ways on how we can use technology and how we can continue to be connected. Okay, any questions so far before we move on to personal value system?
No, not right now.
Okay, so personal value system, in relation to your faith, if it's guided by faith, you identify, you clarify, and you implement. Of what you identify that is right, what is wrong. So going back to plastic, I think you witnessed this when I was talking on the phone and this person just threw this container just on the ground when there's a trash bin like 10 feet away. And I was very tempted to just converse with a person of why do that? I mean, there's a garbage can there. Why are you throwing it on the ground? It doesn't make sense to me. But that's the thing. In terms of realities, I'm not really in a position to tell this person what to do or what not to do, because we're just enjoying the park together. So in my value system, it's wrong. And again, I really don't know what's the best thing to do, because I'm not really in the position to go ahead and say, hey, pick that up. Why are you making a mess? This is your neighborhood. And so I really have to go ahead and clarify that with myself. And so right now, our implementation is that hopefully through social media, we have all of these challenges out there. Why not do this plastic challenge? If we gain traction from that. I'm gaining traction, at least I'm impacting you. And you're the next generation that hopefully you get to impact others. All right, moving on, meaningful purpose in life. You go ahead and identify what's your aim, what your goals are, what in terms of self-growth. So, for example, for me, in relation to Top Virtual Staffing Solutions, is that hopefully we get to help others through tutoring or helping organizations to go ahead and get better. But at the same time, this is what we do. But personally, the reason why I'm doing this is because of you. So that hopefully you get to really imbibe this value of improving yourself and getting better. Just like that forward. Moving on, divine mystery is that we appreciate and understand the mystical side of spirituality. We were talking about scientific thinking in every session. As much as we want to prove everything scientifically, but we are fully aware that there are certain things, that there are certain limitations of science. And as science evolves and continuously improves, that's what it is. So it's not because it can't be explained scientifically, it's not true. But as we progress, we will see more of a combination of both. And that's why we have Einstein's perspective here in relation to spirituality. Seems like your camera froze. Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, all right. So it seems like your video.
I think it's just my Slow internet connection, probably. I'm not sure.
All right. Okay. That's fine. We'll just go ahead and continue here, as long as you can hear me. Next is spiritual potential.
Yeah.
Right. That we are capable to work with stress, such as humor, compassion, patience, tolerance, creativity. That we continue to develop these things. And that's what this,
Sorry.
the what?
My screen froze on my computer. Oh, never mind, sorry.
Has it adjusted now?
Not. Okay. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So that's what it is. That we have this potential to reach the spiritual realm, and the way to go about it is to continue to develop our humor, and we talked about compassion, patience with ourselves and with other people, the way we tolerate certain things, and we become creative on how we can work with such limitations. That we have this potential from a spiritual perspective. Next one is spiritual health. And with spiritual health is that with results, we gain the results, we gain because of the solutions that we continuously find ways to implement. And we get that from our inner strength and resources. And that's the reason why we discuss willpower here, for example, in terms of journaling. Because with inner strength, that's where willpower will go ahead and come in. And we identify what resources do we have to work with things, to be creative with what solutions we can determine, to be able to take care of whatever problems that we face. And that's a spiritual health right there. So with roadblocks, we view stressors that in a constructive manner. That these are things that we are being challenged to get better, to improve. So again, with this pandemic, it's easy to go ahead and not do anything. You know, ideally, that's what it is. We just stay at home. And we only go out if we absolutely have to. But other than that, we continue to go ahead and get better in any shape or form that we can. So let's go ahead and review spirituality, at least for this session. So we discussed Einstein, but to wrap up everything that we have discussed the previous 3 sessions is that there are these common threads with all these perspectives of faith that we discussed. And that we use spirituality's perspective on how to work with stressors, how to deal with them. Do you have any questions with today's session? Or anything else from the previous ones?
When you mean last session, forgot to ask you this question, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
You mean last session relating to session 6? Or last session of STS?
Well, especially with the spirituality subject matter, but if you want to tie it up to session 6, regardless. Is there anything you want to ask or clarify?
No, because if we're going to end this rain, something like that, I'd be surprised.
If we're ending what now?
If we're ending the series.
We're ending this subject matter in terms of spirituality.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll continue with other chapters.
Yes, exactly.
Strength through stress.
Yeah.
So are we clear with that?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, all right, you're okay. All right, so, all right, let's move on to journaling. So how do you converse with a higher being? What's your conversation like? And how do you incorporate prayers in your life? So for example, for me, as I have evolved my spirituality, is that I really appreciate it when I'm able to go and sit in a very quiet place, in a very solemn place, and just talk, but more importantly, just listen, just to take in that silence. And that's how I converse. And my way is not necessarily the best way, or what works for me may not necessarily work for another person, but I'm just relating it to myself. And so with anywhere I can go ahead and find that quiet place and detach myself from all of the other things, I ask a few questions or find some level of guidance, gain that strength. And then at the same time, I just go ahead and be quiet and quiet my mind. And that's where, I also incorporate meditation a little bit more and just have that silence. Okay. And then we have these structured prayers. And as I mentioned, regarding talking and listening. So a structured prayer is, it's a prayer that your faith has identified that you go ahead and pray. So go ahead and pray it. Or unstructured one, where I mentioned it's just having that conversation. So hopefully you get to relate this to yourself or share your own perspective next week. Okay.
I could share my own perspective right now, actually.
Okay, if you want to, but hopefully we get to listen to yours as well next week. Go
Okay. Ahead. Could it be the same thing, or does it have to be different?
Yeah, it could be different. So much better. But anything that you want to share right now?
Well, usually when I pray, it's before I sleep. Really, right before I sleep. Mm-hmm. So, but I also pray when I feel overwhelmed sometimes. Mm-hmm. Something to calm me down, to believe that I'm not overwhelmed. So that's how I incorporate it in my life.
And that's really critical, because that's the reason why we're discussing spirituality. Because there will be points in our lives wherein we are overwhelmed, or we're a little bit, or the stress is a little bit too much for us to bear. And this is one avenue for us on how to work with it. I mean, of course, we're not just going to resolve it just by praying and that's it. But if we are not in a good mental, emotional, spiritual, physical reality, if we're not solid, then it's going to be difficult for us to deal or face these challenges head on. But if we go ahead and pray, and it helps us grounded and centered, just like what you said, then it helps you. That's great. Thank you. All right. So willpower. It's very important that we prioritize what we need to do. And the reason being is because, do you think willpower is limited, or willpower it's infinite?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think willpower is infinite.
It's infinite, but in our day-to-day lives, is it infinite?
No.
No. And that's why we're talking about recharging ourselves, correct?
Yes.
So since willpower is limited, that's why we need to prioritize. We need to put our energies on something that we need to take care of first. Yeah. Because once we're tired, once we're exhausted in a day, in a week, then we won't have that willpower or energy to take care of what we need to take care of.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what it is regarding willpower. For growth mindset is, again, to continuously, to nurture having a growth mindset is just to really love learning. And here you are, you're learning through this once a week with this session, and then life and learner success.
Yeah.
Session. And then we aim for perfection, but at the same time, we appreciate that we are not perfect. We will make mistakes. So the mistake of, for example, of the charger, if this is the second time in a row that this has happened, All right, we will make these mistakes, but we aim for perfection that it's not going to happen again, correct?
Yeah.
So that's part of the growth mindset. We will make mistakes, but what will we do in order to reduce such errors, to reduce such mistakes? And we improve from failures. That's what it is. So instead of us waiting right now, or me waiting for you to go ahead and charge up, what can we do to improve such failures? And I know when we discuss life and learner success, we talk about time management, or I know that's a misnomer, but when we work with time, you're incorporating the calendar a little bit more into your life, so you don't forget things, so that you would remember things a little bit better, correct?
Yes.
You have these constant reminders. So that's what it is that we improve from failures, because we are going to fail. What's important is what can we do to go ahead and get better. So, and that's what it is from a spiritual perspective of honoring ourselves, of respecting ourselves, to go ahead and continuously get better. And the last one here is go ahead and look for what's your next challenge. Your next challenge, as you've said in your programming, is adding a background of raining, right? Rain.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so we find ways on how we can challenge ourselves. So that's what it is to cultivate a growth mindset. All right, so Strength Through Stress is Fridays 5 p.m., Life and Learner Success 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Workout Buddy, we've changed this again on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, so thank you for joining us. We hope to see you in the next session. And these are the references that we're using. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I don't.
All right, so we will see you then in the next session.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video informational and educational. Please share our videos and subscribe to our channel. If not, my dad will not give me dessert.